Welcome back to our weekly forecast. We're going to be doing it for the 22nd through the 28th. Mary, take it away.
Let's start backwards with the 28th. The 28th, we're having the final eclipse in the Taurus-Scorpio axis. It's going to be in Taurus at 5 degrees. So if you have planets close to that or even opposing that, you're probably going to be affected the most, but it is going to close out a cycle that we've been dealing with. Based on wherever it falls in your chart, there's likely been something that you've been dealing with for the last couple of years. So in a way, it's going to be a good thing, I think, especially with Jupiter being in Taurus, that might be helpful. It's not going to be conjunct the eclipse, but I still think it'll be a benefic influence. We're also entering Scorpio season on the 23rd. Yay, Scorpio, it's Halloween. Scorpio season, Mars is in Scorpio, Pluto just went direct. Good time to be a Scorpio. The moon, it will be transiting from Capricorn all the way up until Aries. And when it enters Taurus, we'll have a lunar eclipse. Mercury will be at the anaretic degree of Libra, and then it enters Scorpio finally on the 22nd. Mars is still in Scorpio, will reach the 10th degree by the end of the week, and Venus is still in Virgo, and it will reach the 18th degree by the end of the week. Jupiter in Taurus is still going retrograde. Luckily, Uranus in Taurus has moved out of the 22nd degree, so we're at the 21st degree, which I think is an easier degree in general for us to be dealing with, and retrograde Saturn is at the 0 degrees of Pisces all of October. It's interesting. Let's talk a little bit about this degree because I call it the karmic reset degree. It's not associated with any of the signs. So if you use the degree theory, the 0 degrees is the only one that doesn't really have a sign that it's associated with. And I think it's because it's a very pure expression of that energy. You kind of have more free will when it comes to the 0 degrees, but also it's more likely that you'll misuse it because of a lack of experience or that type of energy. Saturn's actually getting ready to go direct, I think, too. Isn't it the following week?
It's
yeah,
on
I'm pretty
November
sure.
4th.
Yeah,
November
okay,
4th.
so it does
Okay.
go the following week. So it's kind of the last week of having Saturn being retrograde. That's pretty exciting. I like Saturn direct, especially this Saturn retrograde being that it was the first one in Pisces. It was kind of difficult. We're gonna have the lunar nodes be direct at 24 degrees of Aries and Libra. Those are the major ones that are happening next week. We do have some lovely aspects with Venus trine Jupiter exact on Sunday the 22nd. That's just lovely. I love that one. And
Our aspects are looking a lot better this week than they were the last 3, so I'm really thankful.
especially having it be an eclipse week, I feel like
Yeah.
that's going to help. So Mercury trine Saturn as well on the 22nd. Sun trine Saturn on the 23rd. We're having a Sun Mercury Cazimi, Sun conjunct Mars as well.
It's not a Kazemi because it's not going to be exactly conjunct. It's going to be 1 to 5 degrees.
So it's
Got
going to
it,
be
okay.
combust. I mean, technically, Mercury's being, well, this is the theory. Mercury's being
Burned.
burnt out by the sun. It's just that it's hidden, so there would be more, maybe there's communications behind the scenes or more internal thinking, or you have to do something unique or something different. Mercury may have to do something different just because it's hidden. It's not, sort of in its own space. And that's how I look at combustion. And then, so Mercury's now going to be an evening star.
Interesting. We also have Saturn opposite Black Moon Lilith and Juno, which are both in Virgo right now. The Lilith asteroid enters Scorpio on the 24th. I'm curious with that. I wonder which one will feel more or if we feel them both, because I personally think Black Moon Lilith is stronger than the asteroid. I know different astrologers have different thoughts about that.
Do they do the same thing?
They use different calculations. Well, one is an asteroid, like an actual asteroid. The other is a calculation, but then there's a third one, or there's the true Lilith and the mean Lilith, and they're based on different calculations. So it gets confusing with the
One's called
Liliths.
wall mass, and it's like
Yeah.
the desert. And I feel like I've seen a lot of people have it in their first house. I have it in the first house, and I feel like it's like this deserted feeling. So when you have it in your first house, you just feel like completely deserted in life. But
Isn't
yeah,
that
it's a
one
dark one.
hypothetical too? I think the
Yeah,
Waldemar
it's a
one.
calculation, I believe.
I feel like we could do a whole episode just on the Liliths.
We should.
We're also having Mercury conjunct Mars, which I don't really like, but I wonder how that's going to play out. Well, it's not exact though.
Like racing mind or, harsh discussions, harsh words. But it
Especially
can,
in Scorpio.
Yeah.
It's
And
going to get closer and closer as the week goes by. So that's going to be interesting because that's when the eclipse happens, when it's close.
Could be bad news, racing mind.
Saying something you'll regret later. The eclipse happening on my Mars, and I'm going to issue a warning.
On the lunar eclipse, Jupiter is exactly opposite Mars. Then it's also within 1 degree opposite Mercury. There could be just a lot of...
I don't know. I feel like people are going to hit below the belt and go way
Lock
too
yourselves
far.
in your doors, turn off your phone, don't talk to anybody.
Don't speak.
And the thing is, like, the moon on that lunar eclipse is 6 degrees before Jupiter. Maybe some big emotions, but delayed, right? It's going to take 6 degrees for the moon to really hit Jupiter.
Also, Abundantia is going to be conjunct Mars very closely. So that's just adding extra
money.
And the only other thing, too, like we've mentioned this before with the other eclipse, is that Venus is ruling this eclipse basically from detriment in Virgo. So she's ruling it from Virgo. So we're going to bring up this criticism thing again, right? And maybe health things. And I do like when she can see the eclipse from a trine perspective. It's not like as harsh as she could be. I've tried to give some Jupiterian optimism.
Sometimes, on behalf of Venus and Virgo, sometimes you really got to tell a person, you need to fix yourself or go away. And I feel like that's the energy of this week because Venus rules the eclipse. I could be biased because it's on my Mars, but
yeah, or maybe it's just like, it doesn't have to be negative. Maybe it's just sort of refined things. Think about it. The reason she's in her fall is because she's not in expansive, indulgent Pisces, ruled by Jupiter. She's kind of like, okay, let's pull ourselves together.
Virgo's like, take the rose-colored glasses off. Do you still love them now? It's that energy. I feel like it can also bring some epiphanies in relationships. Probably not going to be the greatest ones, but it's just a healthy dose of reality.
With respect to material things, too, because we're talking about Taurus.
I'm kind of liking Venus and Virgo this time around. I think because it just spent so long in my 12th house that it's refreshing, even though it's in its sign of fall. Venus and Virgo really can improve upon your life. You just can handle criticism and know that it's for the best. Could really make the best of this transit. You can make some very positive changes in your life and needed changes as well, especially regarding health. And overall, this Virgo/Taurus energy is...
It's kind of a manifesting energy, right? Because you're bringing Venus kind of out there into grounded earth sort of situation.
It's like you're speaking it into reality.
Organizing it.
It's a very serious week. It feels like we're entering Scorpio, but not only that, Mercury is trine Saturn, Sun trine Saturn. It's like something with deep relationships and communication and passionate feelings with Mars.
Yeah.
And then the eclipse.
And then we also have Venus sextile Mars, which is nice. One of my favorite aspects.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I was going to just repeat what you're saying is that both benefics are in sight of the sun and the moon. Even though we have the malefics involved as well, it's going to balance out.
Only time will tell, so...
I'm just glad to be out of this being the end of the Scorpio Taurus eclipses, because those were on my IC and MC, and boy, this past year and a half has been, I think Uranus is contributing to the disruption a lot.
Honestly, everyone I've talked to has had lots of difficulties with this eclipse cycles. Finally ending, we made it, we're still alive, maybe traumatized, but we made it through. I'm going to be glad to close that chapter of my life with this final one. We'll see what...
It made me get my shit together.
And it's great because we're going into cardinal eclipses, right? So we are going to start things because we're...
Yeah, especially with
ready
Aries.
to go. Yes.
Because I think the next one after the Taurus is in Aries, right?
Right, next spring.
Something's gonna happen. Like, you know, when you have like a deep emotional outburst and it's something you've been holding back for a long time, and then you finally express it, and that makes your relationship with someone deeper. That's kind of the vibe of the week. It's gonna force you to be upfront about some dark internal stuff with your close personal relationships. And we're coming out of Libra season into Scorpio season, so both are about relationships. It's really gonna help us draw closer to people and get stuff off our chest that we haven't been able to communicate before, especially with all the Virgo, like Venus and Virgo. So in Mercury aspects, we're going to really communicate some deep, dark stuff, but it's going to be, I think, for the best.
Yeah, I think that matches too with the solar eclipse that we just had.
I was just going to say that same vibe.
I did this video on the Sorrow series of eclipses. So each eclipse has its own family of eclipses. They're kind of similar themes. That's related to the solar eclipse, but then the lunar eclipse that follows the lunar eclipse we're about to have is kind of related to that solar sorrows, which is what Chase just said. You tied them together so beautifully, you know, because that other eclipse with the South Node in Libra, letting go and starting anew, and then kind of coming with this climax or whatever with the lunar eclipse. I love that. I love that interpretation.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, I'm definitely feeling the Venusian. My Venus is on my ascendant today, so
I told you
having
you'd love
my
it.
moment. I'm enjoying my Venus time. So it's only there for like a day though, but you know, we'll take it.
The lunar nodes are direct, which I think is normal for an eclipse.
Yeah, I think actually with full moon eclipses is when they go direct. Or do they go direct for both?
They go direct twice a month.
Mine says retro, but
they go direct a lot more than I thought they did.
I think it's just the full moon eclipses, but it could be actually if it's twice a month, then it's for both full and new moon. Interesting. You're always learning something new with astrology.
Yeah, I don't fully grasp the whole direct lunar nodes, but I feel like it's significant and it's something I keep my eye on it. So if anyone has information, let me know.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some more research about it. I'm sure there's plenty out there. All right, well, that pretty much sums it up. Overall, definitely check us out next week. We'll kind of be talking about the aftermath of the eclipse and Saturn going direct, all of that.
All right,
yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. We're gonna see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.